What's up guys, I'm Joel Dodge, welcome back to the channel. So yesterday Bios FX 2 Mobile came out, and something that I've kind of found to be confusing and actually a little disappointing is how the licensing works for previous Bios FX users. So I want to explain how it works in this video because it definitely didn't make sense to me when I first got into the app. When you get into the app, one of the first things it's going to show you is this message. What this message is saying is that there's a discount for people who've done in-app purchases in the previous Bios FX, and that you'll also be able to use the effects that you've purchased in the previous Bios FX. When I first got into the app, I thought something had gone wrong because it didn't seem like this was the case, but both of those statements that they made are actually true, but there's kind of like a catch to it. So to figure out what was actually going on, I actually downloaded the app on a different device and didn't sync with my previous Bios FX. So what I found is they're actually charging you more if you haven't previously purchased Bios FX. So you get a $20 discount on the unlimited bundle, and I'll show the other discounts on the screen right now. So the other thing that this note says is that you'll be able to use the effects that you've purchased in the previous app. And despite of this seeming like it's not completely true, it actually is true. Something that's really weird about it though is all the effects that were free in the original Bios FX you have to purchase in this app. So for example, things like the tube drive and the fuzz face were included with the free version of Bios FX, but are not included in Bios FX 2 for free, so you have to purchase them if you want them now. So something that's kind of disappointing is even if you've done in-app purchases in Bios FX, the original app, and you come into Bios FX 2, you're extremely limited on what you can do, and you pretty much need to buy a new license to be able to do any of the things that you'd really want to be able to do, like be able to use a Bluetooth controller or be able to record yourself in another app. You can't even access Bios amps or Bios pedal without upgrading Bios FX 2. So that's all pretty disappointing. I think that they should have allowed you to do everything you could do in Bios FX if you've already spent $50 on licensing inside of that app, and then charged in-app purchases for the new effects like Guitar Match and the Looper and all the new things they've added. But making you have to pay again for features that you've already bought inside of the previous Bios FX does kind of suck. So anyway, the rest of this video is going to be my thoughts and impressions that I recorded yesterday. I just wanted to make sure that I had a good explanation for how the licensing works. The thing that I was the most disappointed with, to be honest, is that when I started looking at the amps and I wanted to bring in amps that I've purchased inside of Bios Amps 2, it brought me to the page where I need to upgrade my licensing. For me, that was really disappointing. I think that if you've purchased Bios Amps, you've spent the $20 to have all the available amps inside of that app, I think that you should be able to use them inside of Bios FX. Maybe other people feel differently about that, but that's definitely disappointing to me. Luckily though, that it looks like you only need to buy the most basic license to be able to do that. So that is a positive. You don't need to buy the most expensive license to be able to use amps from Bios Amps and pedals from Bios Pedal. And as I was looking through the different licensing options, it definitely seems that the first licensing option might actually be the most bang for your buck if you already have Bios Amps 2 or also made any purchases inside of Bios Pedals. The only thing that I personally would miss if I was to buy the most basic licensing option is that it doesn't include the volume pedal, especially if you're going to be playing in live situations. The volume pedal really helps a lot. So if you do want the volume pedal, you actually have to purchase at least the second level of licensing inside of the app. If you are trying to try the Guitar Match and a lot of the other new features, you are going to have to buy the unlimited license. I did go ahead and purchase the unlimited license inside of Bios FX 2 because I want to make a full demo of a lot of the new features and probably a comparison with Bios FX, the original Bios FX mobile, to try to help some of you guys decide whether this is actually worth picking up or not. But that's it for this video. As always, DieEmpty. I'll catch you in the next one.